Lesson 5, Unit 4, Updating the Core Plans. After the changes have been approved, it is important to update the core plans. These are the plans that are related to the 4 project constraints: scope, schedule, budget, and quality. It is important that changes in these plans are integrated. For example, a change in the scope will usually require changes in the schedule and budget. These are the most important plans, and you need to make sure they are integrated. Any change on any one of these plans will usually require a modification on the other plans. Changes in the project scope. They usually come from removing an activity that is no longer needed, adding more activities, or even the addition of a new outcome, which will generate a new set of activities on the project. The tool you will use to make these changes is the Work Breakdown Schedule, the WBS. When it's time to make changes to the WBS, make sure that the new activities have the corresponding numbers and are in the corresponding branch of the WBS. The same when you're adding a new output, that it has the right code and it's on the correct outcome. A good practice is to mark the new elements of the WBS with a new color or a symbol to help the team identify the new changes. This is useful especially when the WBS contains many elements. You can also add a note to the document to reflect changes made in the new version of the WBS. For example, that activity 2.1.2 has been removed and a new output 2.3 and 4 new activities have been added. All the scope management documents will also need to reflect the new changes. These include the scope of work and the scope section of the project charter. Once the scope has been updated, the next step is to update the project schedule. For all changes that happen to the schedule, you need to make sure that you have the latest updates on progress coming from the team. Changes can come from new estimates, changes to planned activities, new activities, and also new dependencies that can generate a new critical path. Changes in the schedule, activities, and tasks will also create changes on the final date of the project and changes in the milestone dates. Part of updating the schedule includes the updates on the progress made by the project. On the Gantt chart, you will have to update information on the percentage that has been completed. For new activities or activities that have been modified, you will need to update this information. For example, an activity has changed its original start and end dates, and another activity has been deleted from the scope. You need to remove it from the chart. Changes to the schedule means that there can also be a new critical path. If there are new activities, then the original critical path could have changed. In the simple example, the original critical path had a duration of 6 days, but by adding a new activity on a different path created a new critical path with a duration of 7 days. This change is important because those changes in the schedule means now there is a different critical path that will require most of your attention. Here's an example of a complete Gantt chart where you can see the progress made to date marked by a black line on each blue bar. In this example, some activities are now completed while others are still pending. You can also see the critical path of the activities where the bars are in red. All the arrows on the chart identify the dependencies between the activities. The next step is to update the budget management plan. The changes or updates may be coming from information on what has been spent on the project, new cost estimates, changes to plan activities, and the cost of new activities. All these changes need to be reflected on your budget and in the different documents used to manage and report on the budget progress. When you look at your budget accounts, you will see information on what has been spent and the remaining balance. After the changes have been made, you need to make sure that the correct accounts have been credited with the corresponding changes. You also need to look at the totals of your new budget and the new available balance. In the example, the budget added funds on 2 accounts, marked in orange. The budget now has a new balance that will allow the completion of the project with additional activities added to the scope. Once you complete updating the core plans, you need to make sure you create a new baseline for the core plans. That includes a new baseline for the scope, the schedule, the budget, and the quality control charts. The new baselines will be used to monitor the performance of the project in achieving its objectives and completing the new scope, schedule, budget, and quality targets.